If you're upset that Solo Leveling just came to an end yesterday, then look no further than this series right here. Omniscient Reader Viewpoint. It is a series I've covered quite a few times on my channel, and it's a series I will continue to cover quite a few times going forward on my channel, because it is, out of anything I read weekly, like, I would say it is like my top 3, top 5 favorite series to read on a weekly basis, because it does power fantasy right. Because everything that I have a complaint with when it comes to Solo Leveling, Omniscient Reader Viewpoint fixes those issues. It is something that is a journey about a character obviously getting stronger, but it has characters that actually develop, have a spotlight, and aren't just there just to prop up the MC and make him look powerful. They have their own stories, their own journeys, and just what they go through, their own emotion. It feels like a world that is lived in. And that is one of the big drawing factors that I've always had for Omniscient Reader. And the latest chapter that just came out for this series, chapter 196, honestly just has a very nice eye-opening moment that goes back into the meta stuff that the series likes to cover. And it is this moment here which I want to read. You have this Dokkaebi that is talking about stories, and we get to see a rare insight into just how they're trained and why they do the things they do throughout this story. For instance, why they push certain scenarios, why they put, challenges up against certain constellations or people within the stories, and just why it seems so unfair. It's because obviously one of the big things is to make a very interesting and engaging story. And what is being said here honestly relates so much with how people are, or what people like in real life, like, right now, us reading stories or watching some of our favorite shows. It honestly is just so meta, and I appreciate that. For instance, keep the villains villainous and the good guys good. Reminded of old times, are we? And then you see this whole little conversation where, like, you have the writers, they're critiquing the constellations, the people that are like the viewers, so to speak, and say that they obsess over they get criticized quick plot progression, but then they turn around and they obviously eat it up, and it sells very well. And in this case, this is exactly what can be said about a lot of media with today's standards. Think about gaming, think about, Hollywood movies, etc. The movie can be absolute trash and garbage, okay? Let's think of, like, I guess, Halo. The Halo TV series, okay? Obviously, people did not like that show, but obviously it is done well enough to get a season 2. Velma. It was hated on by the entire internet. You have definitely heard probably some form of criticism about Velma, but people still watched it, and it obviously is getting a season 2. And the big point here is that no matter how many people critique or don't want certain things, for some reason, it still sells, either through hate watching or hate playing the game or whatever it may be. Those type of stories do sell, which is why companies continue to sell that product, because they can get away with it. Another good example of this, of what is being said here with this meta humor, is kind of like gaming in general. Like, you'll have a game, a AAA game, that is released, and it is just outright garbage. Like, it releases with just performance issues to where, like, you can have a 4070 graphics card and your game just doesn't even run. It doesn't even get over 30 frames per second. It crashes upon startup, crashes in character, creation. Maybe it's just you can't find a server because there's not enough servers. Maybe there's just some game-breaking bugs, or it's, infested with hackers and cheaters. Whatever the case may be, most of the time when games come out nowadays, they're riddled with so many issues, not even including microtransactions, and, people constantly complain about it. But somehow these companies continue to do that. Like, for instance, you put microtransactions in, or they continue to release these broken games because people pre-order, people keep buying them, and because they keep getting bought, the companies will continue to double down and do the exact same thing, because why change something that is clearly working, even if it isn't necessarily ethical? And so this very moment in Omniscient Reader is very reminiscent of that topic, which is one of the big reasons why I wanted to make a video on this series, because it highlights one of the big things that makes Omniscient Reader Viewpoint such an engaging and interesting story. Because obviously, as a reader, that's someone that has been reading this for a very long time, I think that the story obviously has an interesting viewpoint on just like storytelling in general, since the main character is someone that knows what's going to happen. He basically is a walking spoiler, but he's trying to shape the world for he can survive through it. And it's fascinating because he has this detachment from the story, but also he's very attached to it since he knows the world and characters since he read the story a very long time ago. And I like just how he's just like this outsider that is trying to view everything like a story, and he's trying to figure out a way to get through these different arcs or cliches, etc., to overpower certain obstacles or monsters in the best way fit. It's super cool. I don't know, just the way the story engages with the characters and the themes to just the power system and all that. It's just dumb fun. Like, it's really fun. And there's a lot of series out there that, you want to sit down, you don't want to think too heavily about, and obviously the series does want you to think hard about it, because what I was just talking about, but also the series is willing to appreciate you if you don't want to think too hard about it. And I love series that is a perfect blend, that, you can think hard about it, you don't have to think hard about it, and you can appreciate just a really engaging story that, at the same time, it's like you may not like something, but you kind of really do, because you're clearly enjoying the story and you're reading it, and that's kind of what the story is trying to tell us. But anyways, getting on to actually the latest chapter here, I think that honestly, our MC at this point, he's in quite a predicament, because he's in a segment, a scenario, so to speak, that is the end of all scenarios, to where there is no way to really escape. And you have to come up with your own story to somehow move forward. And, at this point in time, he's clearly at a point within the story where he needs to make a decision. Does he want to go into a realm of just so overwhelmingly powerful, like, become like a constellation, or does he try to remain very human? And I think that is what is at play here, is that, is he going to become disconnected from his friends? Is he going to be someone that is just so beyond them at this point that he won't be able to interact with them anymore from what we have seen? There's a lot of questions I have, and Omniscient Reader is something that just continues to give quality content every single week with its chapters, to just funny little jokes that's thrown in, to just the way the world building is with different mythologies and stuff, because like we've had stuff with Olympus and all that, not including like, Korean mythology. There's just so much that this series does with its story and stuff every single week that I just can't help but admire it. And I've been constantly told for a very long time now when I make these videos on Omniscient Reader that I should dive into the novel, because obviously this is based off of an actual novel, and one day I do want to sit down and read it, because it is a completed story, and I would like to see it for myself, exactly why people always hype this up, because apparently in Korea, Omniscient Reader is one of the most popular novels. I could be wrong there, correct me if I'm wrong, please do, you fact check me or whatever, but I believe it is. At least it's talked about. In terms of, like, the novel community, when it comes to, like, stuff being adapted into webcomics, it's one of the most popular, and it makes a lot of sense with the story. Because, like I said, it does everything that Soul Leveling does, but better. It literally is that. And I do hope to one day, like, I truly am crossing my fingers, that Webtoon somehow commissions an anime for Omniscient Reader. Please, Webtoon, I know you're watching this video. Please make an anime for this series. If it got a good studio, good art, good animation, a dedicated team that really loves it, and a good platform to release on, you have just a money printer. It would be insane how popular this series would be. Like, if Soul Leveling is doing as well as it's doing, I cannot imagine the money that could be made. It's free money. It just is. And I feel like it would be just such a waste not to really dive into that market and create an anime on this. But, yeah, overall, just I briefly wanted to sing the praises of Omniscient Reader, because honestly, good series. Clearly, I really enjoy the actual series. I keep talking about it often. And if you're someone that still has somehow not read this, I urge you, read it. It's good. It's really good. It has, like, the shonen element. It has, like, a nice story. Has the power fantasy if you're into that. Has great character designs. It's just good. I don't know. There's not much more I could really say. Just, I don't want to spoil anything, but just give it a shot if you have never read it yourself. But I'll leave it at that. If you're interested in reading it, a link is in the description. Check it out for yourself. And with that, Chibi out.